Sean here with BaseMint Comics, and I just got back from going to a thing called Fantasticon around here. My shop gave me and Hank free tickets, so we headed up to that. And the reason why I wanted to go was Jim Salicrup. He was an editor on the Dark Phoenix saga. Wanted to have him sign a trade I have with like the entire creative team, and Mike signing it. And so I was hoping to get his signature, and Michael Golden was going to be there. And when I showed up this morning, pretty much all of the comic talent that I had wanted to meet canceled. So I still had some loot to do some dollar bin diving, so I was going to go through that. So first up, from what I picked up at Fantasticon, and it was like, in the end, it was an okay show. Not as much comics as I was kind of hoping for, and it was kind of smaller, which was nice because I'm not big on crowds. I don't really like our big cons around here because it's like, you know, elbow to elbow. You know, you're getting like slapped in the face with a 9-foot wing as someone cosplays as Archangel or something like that, which is cool and all, but like not really my vibe, since I'm used to going to like really small shows. But anyways, there were a couple really good vendors there, and I found some stuff that I wanted. So overall, it was a success for us. So first up, I'm going to talk about a comic regret that I had. So years back, one of my favorite like runs from the early 2000s, 2010 era, the 10s, I don't know what we call that. I still think like last year was 1997. So one of my favorite runs of the early 2010s was Rick Remender and Jerome Opeña's Uncanny X-Force. And in the height of like omnibus craziness, I wound up selling off my single issues of that to fund picking up this omnibus. And, you know, if you're lying in bed reading this, you're going to get concussed if you fall asleep, which, you know, sometimes I do. My wife laughs. Like, she knows that I'm, like, crashing if, like, the comic hits me 3 times in the face. Then it's like, call it, you're done. Anyways, so when Uncanny X-Force first debuted, I was in New York, and I picked up this J. Scott Campbell Midtown exclusive and got it signed by Rick Remender. When I was visiting, there were a couple times where I drove to New York solely for the purpose of going to Midtown Comics. Like when Secret Invasion number 8 came out, I loved that event so much that I was like, I'm going to drive overnight to New York and pick that issue up at Midtown, because I'd never been, I think, at that point. And there was a place called Peanut Butter and Company that made really fancy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I was like, I'm gonna buy my comics that week from Midtown Comics. I'm gonna go to the peanut butter company and get a fancy ass peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then I'm gonna go sit in Central Park and I'm gonna read that comic, and I'm gonna eat that peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then I'm gonna head home. And that's what I did, because back then, you know, I did stuff like that. Anyways, so I had always kept this one, got rid of the A cover, and kept this one. And I'm glad that I did, because in the dollar bins, I was able to put together an entire Uncanny X-Force run, which is very exciting because, as I've said probably in every single video that I have put out, I prefer single issues to hardcovers or trades. Now, when it comes to newer comics, I'm not as worried about the trades. But this particular run, I was like, man, I wish that I had like kept the single issues and not bothered with the omnibus. So I was very happy to find issues 2 through 35 and 5.1 and 19.1, which is everything that is contained in this omnibus. So this omnibus is going to get sold and find some home that I'm sure will love it. So that was the first chunk of dollar bin diving that I got. So then we're going to go through the rest of the stuff. I picked up this Lost in Space, and you're like, that's not Marvel. But here's the thing. My mom, like, loved Lost in Space. My dad always told me this story about how, like, if he was on the phone with her, chatting her up when they first started dating, and Lost in Space came on TV, she was like, gotta go. And she did the same thing with the original Star Trek. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, because I have, like, an original Starlog #1 with Kirk and Spock on the cover. And so I was like, that'll be a nice little companion piece in the room to have that kind of together. So this next one goes with my Micronauts collection, I suppose. Now that my buddy Jerry got me to go full bore into Micronauts, which I was excited to get issue #1 signed by Michael Golden, but he canceled. So my consolation prize was picking up Crystar, the Crystal Warrior #1. Have I read it? No. Do I know anything about it? No. Did I buy the Marvel Legends figure when it was released? Yes, because it was a cool looking crystal figure that could stand next to my ROM. Sweet. So, you know, I'm going to read this one of these nights. Let's hope it holds up. Then I picked up, this is also found it in a dollar box, Spider-Man Annual number 18. And I was pretty excited about this because, like I said, I've got a good chunk of my Spider-Man collection is in Epic Collection because, you know, they're good. Like, paper quality isn't as annoying as some of the thicker, like, Marvel Masterworks, like, where, I don't know, not really into that. But I love the Epic Collections. But if I can find the issues on the cheap and replace and get rid of the Epic Collections, I'm going to do that every time because then I can flip through and inhale the musty aroma of 45-year-old newsprint. So pretty excited about that one. Another thing that I am very excited about is Christmas. I love Christmas. I put an insanely bright Christmas tree up every November 1st, and then I read loads and loads of Christmas issues. And one Christmas issue that I love is Amazing Spider-Man number 314. And it's just a great cover of Mary Jane and Peter Parker getting evicted from Bedford Towers. So pretty excited about picking up that one. Then one of the months that I loved when it came out, I probably didn't love it as much as I do retroactively. In retrospect, I like it a lot more than I did when it came out. And that is Flashback Month. When Marvel did the thing where they did all the -1 issues and it was all flashbacks. I probably didn't dig it because it interrupted stories that I was reading at the moment, and I was like, what the hell is this? But now, going back, I really enjoy those issues, and I think they're a lot of fun. The animated Stan intros just kind of harkens back to the old cartoons, like Pride of the X-Men, you know, when he would do the intro. And so I picked up, even though I have it in trade, it was in the dollar bin, and I picked up a Thunderbolts -1, which I was pretty jazzed about because I'm trying to get as many of the -1, -1 flashback issues. I don't know. Then, because we are in spooky season and it is getting closer and closer to Halloween, and one of my all-time favorite Halloween stories is Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange by Mike Mignola. I don't have a ton of Doctor Strange in my collection, but I thought the cover to this issue was a ton of fun, and when I cracked it open, I saw that it was written by Chris Claremont, and that, I mean, come on. Chris Claremont written anything is great, and so I imagine this is going to be a fantastic issue of Doctor Strange, so I was happy to grab that. Okay, here's where some people, if there's any of my friends who actually know me in real life, are going to be thrown for a loop by this next stack of comic books, and I'm probably going to take some heat for it. But this is a series that is, I believe, possibly written, but I know for a fact that it's drawn by my all-time favorite artist, John Byrne. I think a light bulb just burned out over there, and that's what I was reacting to. And over the summer, some pals of mine took me to see Superman. and I enjoyed it. I wore my sister made me a shirt that had the Superman S, but in tiny lettering it said DC S Ux, so it read DC Sucks, and they all got a big kick out of that, because I was like, it's an inside joke between all of us, because obviously Marvel sunk their claws into me, and I haven't really broadened my horizons too much beyond reading like the occasional indie, or, you know, the long Halloween. If someone's like, hey, it's Halloween time, you should read this, and I'll read it. But I enjoyed seeing the Superman movie with my friends so much. I enjoyed James Gunn's Superman movie immensely. And so I was like, and I started to feel like, a little bit bad that like Henry's going to come down here, right? And he loves coming down here, and he loves running around, loves pulling the figures off the shelves, loves playing around with everything, likes going up to the comic book shop. So one day, if he wants to read and he's like, I would like to read Superman, what am I going to do? Am I going to be like, no, it's not allowed because I prefer what I grew up with? No. So if I were to have a Superman in my collection, it was going to be John Byrne's Man of Steel. And that's both covers to number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I have like the first issue of the regular Byrne run, so I found issues 2 and 3. And I was like, that's the perfect amount of, if I ever want to dip my toes into Superman, I'll just read this, and that's where it's at. So there you go. There's 9 Superman books in this entire collection now. Yeah. So now we're going to move on to the Thors. This button. All right. So then I went with the idea that I was going to look for some Daredevil Frank Miller one to fill out that first trade that I have, Anything Amazing Spider-Man. And for some odd reason, I am normally not a Thor guy. I have Walt Simonson's run. I have Jason Aaron's run. I have like a good, J. Michael Straczynski. That's the one where they're in Oklahoma. So I have some like modern, you know, I have the Jane stuff. But as far as like old Thor, not really super like my cup of tea. But the other day, like I read, let me see if I can find it here. I was like reading 237 or 238, one of these, and it just like, I was like, oh, this is super fun, and it just clicked. So at my shop the other day, I found 210 because I'm clearly on a Ulick or Ulick kick, obviously. There he is. So I was like, oh, this was a super fun issue of the two of them beating the crap out of each other. And so I found issue number 211, which I was pretty excited about, because I was like, oh, hey, cool. Now I can, you know, finish reading that. And I am also a sucker for Firelord, because one of the first Uncanny X-Men back issues that my mom got me was this early like Phoenix story, like 105, maybe 107 of Uncanny X-Men. I'm looking at it like it's gonna like pop out of there, and I think it's 105 or 107. And so Firelord has always just been like a cool looking, interesting character to me. So I've tracked down like his let's see, first appearance, so on and so forth. There's a good Thor issue that I have, the Origin of Galactus. While I was shopping today, I found the Mighty Thor 227, which features Firelord down there, and it's a Hercules team up. So I was like, well, that'll be fun. And I looked into 228 after it, which I think continues that story, and 229. So I was like, well, that's a good 3-issue run. I had in my collection already 230, so that was nice. Let's see, I'm trying to keep everything here somewhat in some kind of order. So then, after that, I picked up 232, because it was another I was like, I'm looking into all these fun Firelord stories. So then, as I showed you, I recently read 237 and 238, and that one had a third part, which I did not have, 239, and thanks to Fantasticon today, I have 239, so that's pretty exciting. And then another issue that I've had for a while that has Firelord in it was 246, and they had 247, which I was pretty jazzed about. And then I picked up Thor 279 because I'm still clearly in a Ulick. Can someone help me out there? Which one is it? Like, that character's doing it for me. Picked up 281 because cover looked neat and it was $1. And now I'm going to talk about a regrettable comic show, or not show, comic shop experience. So a few months back, I was like digging through boxes at a kind of a new shop in our area. It's like a guy opened up another shop. I've never been to his original shop, but I live close to the new little pop-up one. It's right by my sister's house. So I was like, oh, I'll pop in here. And I found a copy of Thor number 300 and some other things that I was looking for. And when I went up to the store, or when I went up to the counter, it was one of those, like, let me open up the price guide and like see what this is going for, like there and eBay sold. And I've had very few times at shops where I've just wanted to like leave. There was one where I was going through some, like, I was buying some back issues of Fantastic Four, and they weren't marked because they were in like a to-go out box, you know, but they were in like the dollar bin section, so I thought they were all dollar bins. And I mean, this is like not Jack Kirby Fantastic Four. This is like late 300s, early 400s, you know. Anyways, it's not cream of the crop stuff. And it was a couple days before a big show in our area, and the kid behind the counter was like, he pulled one of them out because it had Dr. Doom on the cover, and he was like, well, you got to look up this one because, you know, because like Downey Jr. had just been announced that he was cast as Dr. Doom, so they were going to do like the let me check out what this is going, you know. And I was like, no, like, first off, kid, like, that ain't Victor, that's Kristoff impersonating Doom. And I was like, so you're not going to hammer me with that. So, you know, and there was a show, and I was like, I can just leave the whole stack, and I'll just go to a show, and I guarantee you find all of these issues in dollar bins. And so they were like, nope, we'll sell them to you, no problem. But at this particular store, I did not do that, and I purchased issue number 300, and it is a, like, I opened it up, and it's just a gross, like, look at this. Look at those rusty staples. And I was just, like, I was so mad at myself. I was like, how long have you been in this game? And you got taken for a ride on this jank copy of the Mighty Thor number 300. And so I was super bummed. But thankfully, I found a much nicer, not rusty staples, does not make me want to immediately take a shower after handling it, copy of Thor number 300. So the lesson there is, if a store is trying to do the let me look up how much it's going for on the internet, leave, and you'll always find the issue somewhere else. Like, just have some patience. Learn from me. Have some patience. Don't overspend on a crap copy just because it's got a cool cover and it's a 300 or whatever. You'll find one down the road, and you'll be much happier about that experience. Anyways, 301, 303, 307, 321, and I picked up annual number 11. So I'm getting close to having like a 300 through Walt Simonson's run of the Mighty Thor. So in my Corner Box Classics, it will be pretty much sequential. I'm still looking for a Micronauts 8 and 9. There was a Micronauts 8, but it was $15, and I don't feel like paying $15 for a Micronauts comic. So, anyways, did not accomplish what I initially set out because those creatives canceled. But overall, I am pretty happy with how Fantasticon went. So, no bike ride for that one. We're going to go. Still pretty nice out, still light out, so we're gonna hit the trail and not go to a comic book store. And so, you know, normally I would say thanks for taking this ride with us, but there was no bike ride. So thanks for looking through a haul and hearing about two, not one, but two comic book regrets that I had that I was able to fix today. So that's nice. What a win. So if you're enjoying the channel, please comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you Wednesday, probably, I assume, with a new issue haul, bike ride, and Corner Box Classics from January 1982. So thanks. Bye. This button.